Welcome back to More Than a Type. I'm Carol.
And I'm Amira. If you've been following us, you know we've been exploring the DISC model. Here's a quick recap. D styles, they're direct, they're fast energy, and they're very results driven and very focused on their roles. Think of that warrior that's tracking like a deer or something. They're so focused and they're going to get their prize no matter what. I styles are really enthusiastic, really social, really very people focused. So think of that person who is organizing the party. They've got everything sorted from people to theme to where everyone's sitting. They're thinking of all those details. And today we're here at the S style, the steadiness style. These are the women who bring calm, loyalty, and stability. They're the glue in families, in teams, at work, and in communities. They thrive on harmony and connection. They're the steady, supportive women whose quiet strength often gets misunderstood as weakness.
That's such an important point, Amira. And this episode especially resonates so much with me. So, what I see with S-style women is that their steadiness is actually a gift. But because it's quiet, people don't always recognize it. Instead of being seen as strong, they're sometimes labeled as passive or hesitant. And yet, it's that very patience and that reliability that makes them the anchor that others depend on.
I totally agree with you, Carol.
And S styles, they are thoughtful and dependable, they are loyal, they are calm. They think about characters like Marge Simpson in The Simpsons. Loyal and supportive. She's always there. She's always got her children in mind, right? Or Mother Teresa, the mother archetype who nurtures, sacrifices, and holds people together, holds communities together.
Yeah. And in fact, in real life, we see S styles everywhere. Teachers who stay late to help struggling students, nurses who quietly hold patients' hands, mothers who sacrifice their sleep, their career, or their self care because they want their loved ones to feel safe and cared for.
The mother archetype is a classic example of the S style. She represents nurturing and care and strength. But as we'll see, sometimes the sacrifice comes at a cost.
Yes.
Let me share a story. I used to work in education. My friend who started a learning center, she knew that she could depend on me. So she literally left everything on my plate, from training the teachers to running the schedules to keeping the classrooms tidy. Everything was on my table because she knew that she could count on me to make it happen. And she knew that I could have good relationship with the parents, be strict with the children, but they still loved me, Amira. I remember students refusing to go to their teachers who were very nice, really nice, warm, nurturing, kind teachers, but they wanted me in spite of me being strict with them. So I did everything. So naturally, if the child didn't want one teacher, they wanted me, okay, I would take them on. And guess what? At the end of the day, I'm already doing my work. Now I'm also doing other people's work. So I couldn't say no because I didn't want to let anyone down. That's an unresourceful S.
Yeah.
Helpful, kind, dependable, but carrying so much that, eventually I reached a point that I thought, why do I have to do everything?
Yeah. It's a real struggle, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that there's women out there right now doing exactly that. And whether or not they're in that stage of awareness of what's happening or whether they're unaware, it's still taking a toll on them and their loved ones.
Yeah.
So I can totally relate. In healthcare, so much of this goes on. I uh, I am really fortunate at the moment to be working with a facility manager who is so kind and caring and screams of strong S style. She You can imagine we run a facility with 133 residents, and we have registered nurses, enrolled nurses, carers, staff, and residents, and all the things that are required to run an aged care facility. We come to her with crisis after crisis, and she is such a calming presence to us. She when someone is panicking, she is able to just slow the room down. She says things like, what's the first thing we have to do, or remember safety first, or patients, residents come first, what do we need to do? And we're able to trust her, and she's really, really, I find that she's such a resourceful S. She's steady under pressure. She's very reliable. She's really loyal to the team, as well as loyal to what we stand for. She's very gentle, but yet she still has firm boundaries, and she doesn't burn out. Like when so many people are burning out, there's just one of her. And she just seems to come back always looking refreshed, always talking about what matters. And I really appreciate that strength. And I take a lot of comfort from having her there on the days where she is there.
That's resourceful.
Mm.
So here's the truth. The same qualities that can drain you when they are unbalanced, the patience, the loyalty, the steadiness, they can become your greatest leadership tools when you use them resourcefully.
Yeah. So let's map this out with DISC. When an S style shows up, here's how others might perceive them.
The D style, the one who is strong and fast and decisive, they might see the S as hesitant or too slow. What they don't realize is that the S is actually processing and weighing the impact on people.
Yeah, 100% true. And an I style, the energetic, enthusiastic, talkative connector, they might find the S style too quiet or just too reserved. But underneath, the S style is often the one who truly listens, who remembers the details that matter.
A C style, the one who's logical, who's detail focused, who's process oriented, they might appreciate the S's stability, but get frustrated if the decisions feel more driven by feelings rather than facts.
Yeah, so I'm laughing here, Carol, because I can give you an example of exactly this. My beloved husband is SC style for sure. He's a combination, but very high C style. So I called him over the weekend. The computer was working, and I was wondering what the password was to get into one of the drives. So I called him and I said, I'm completely frustrated. Why is it that every time the power goes out, we have to go through this process? And I'm just feeling frustrated. And very calmly, he says, the password is this. I'll see you later. Love you. Bye. And it was just no acknowledgement of my feelings. I was there trying to tell him I was frustrated, and really I just wanted someone to, maybe go, okay, I see your frustration, take a deep breath, here's the password. But no, because the C style does not really focus on feelings that much. They're more about, let me give you the information you need. What does feelings have to do with it? So that's why I laughed when you brought that up. That's a very good example of what happens in our house when here I come with feelings, and Dave's like, I don't know about feeling something for dinner, but I think we should have chicken. And that's the whole thing, that feeling versus that thinking, that's the change. That's the difference between us.
And isn't it wonderful that you're aware of this? So you know he doesn't mean he's got no ill intention. So he doesn't mean to cut down, shoot you down. It's just that that's how he processes information.
Very important that we know how the different styles process information. The D style processes information based on the vision, what they see, or how they want things to be. The I style and the S both process information based on feelings, and the C style processes information based on facts and detail and logic. So bringing it back to the S style, here's the shift. When an S owns their inner power, people stop overlooking them. Instead, they start to notice that calm, consistent present that makes everyone feel safe.
Mm. Imagine an S-style woman in a team meeting. A new policy comes up that she disagrees with. Unresourceful response is this. She says nothing. She nods, she smiles politely, and later feels frustrated and resentful. Her silence is misread as agreement.
Oh my goodness, Carol. Just as you said that, I have had flashes in my life of that happening to me.
Mm.
Yeah. So here is a resourceful response to such a scenario. She takes a deep breath and says gently but clearly, I hear the plan and I'd like to share a different perspective. She's not forceful, but her quiet voice carries weight because it's thoughtful, grounded, and compassionate. And people lean in to listen.
I like this, Amira, because it does remind me of the time I had exactly the same scenario in a board meeting. I just kept quiet until I had processed all the information, and then I spoke quietly. And they did. The board members actually did lean in to listen. And that's the power of the S style. The strength isn't in volume, it's in presence.
Oh gosh, I love that. I really love that, especially when you own it and you recognize just how powerful you are. I think it makes you feel very self-confident and empowered as a woman.
For sure.
I think it's important to bring up here that sometimes what keeps S styles quiet isn't just personality. Sometimes it's old wounds. Maybe times in the past where speaking up caused conflict. Maybe childhood moments where they learned it was safer to stay small.
Mm, that's true. We'll go deeper into the core wounds in season 2, where we'll explore the roots behind these patterns. But for now, just know that your quietness has a story and it isn't weakness.
Yeah, that's right. So, how do you move from unresourceful to resourceful? Here are a few tips. I've noticed that S style women say no and then come up with an apology afterwards to explain or justify. It was the first thing I started practicing what to do. Saying no is complete. You don't need to give an apology afterwards. And if you think about it, what is an apology? An apology is you make an apology to someone when you've made a mistake.
Mm.
So I feel like saying no can just be on its own without having to apologize or justify.
Yeah.
So if someone gives you an extra task that is above and beyond your limit, instead of saying, sorry, I can't, try instead, I won't be able to take that on, but here's what I can do. Notice how there's no apology. It's just a clear statement of facts. You can't take that on. If you have the time and the energy, you can help them in any way that you can, but you're not having to apologize for something that you don't want to do. Notice how it feels in your body without the apology. It feels stronger.
I like this. Saying no without an excuse, without an apology. No is a complete sentence.
The second tip we have is to check in with yourself before checking in with others. So S styles often sense what everyone else feels. This is where some people say or feel like they're empaths. They tend to reach out and see people's sadness or see people's disappointment, and they want to make things okay. But before you do that, so for example, I'm going to give an example here. If something happens in a meeting at work or in a social gathering where it seems like it's a bit of a shock or something new has happened, before checking in on yourself, people often go out and go, are you okay? Are you okay? And I know this because that's what I used to do. I never cared about how I was taking it. I was making sure that everybody else around me was okay. But I learned that I need to check in with myself first, because when I am grounded and I'm calm, then I can help other people. And it's like they say in the airplane, when the oxygen mask comes down, Take care of yourself first and then put the mask on others. So check in with yourself, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what do I need in this moment? You'll be surprised how just checking in with yourself shifts your choices.
Very nice. Very nicely said. I love it. The third one is own your calm. And this is what you mentioned as well. Calm. This is one of the super strengths of the S style. In a heated meeting, instead of shrinking back, lean in and use your tone. You know, that special tone. Try, I hear that we're all under pressure. Let's take one step at a time. Notice how the voices soften when you do that. Your calm is actually contagious.
I totally agree. And that's what I feel from our facility manager. She has this special tone that Carol talks about, and it really exudes calm and confidence. And it helps ground everyone down when everyone is up here, very panicky, or the energy is just flying around the room and everyone's kind of frantic, chaotic. She's able to bring that energy down and we're able to focus on what we need to do next.
Yes, exactly. And the thing is, quiet strength isn't about being loud. It's about being steady and consistent and true to yourself. We've all got our strengths, and I tell you, the superhero strength of the S is that calmness. Seriously, it changes the energy in the team.
Yeah, I love it. And I have seen it in action, and I totally agree.
So picture this. Your boss drops a pile of tasks on your desk. You smile, nod, and say yes, even though you're drowning. Inside, you're thinking, no one even sees me. And this is the S style. We say yes, but we feel taken advantage of. We feel used, but we're not saying anything about it. This is unresourceful.
Now imagine this, a more resourceful scenario. Same situation, your boss drops a pile of tasks on your desk. You see it, you pause, you take a breath, and you say, I want to do a good job on this. To do that, I'll need to move the other deadline or delegate that to somebody else. Which would you prefer?
I remember something like this happening when I was at work in the membership-based organization. And I've shared before as well that tasks just kept piling up on my desk. And it reached a point where I had to speak to my boss and tell him, look, I've got so many things happening. Which is the most important thing for you now? So that's the shift from silent resentment to confident steadiness.
And that is really living your authentic life. As
Yeah.
we've been saying this whole time, we want to enjoy the life that we're living, even when we're at work, away from our loved ones and away from what we prefer to be doing. So if you can be at work confident instead of resentful, that's living a good life.
Mm, exactly.
So here's your challenge for the week. In one conversation, instead of automatically saying yes, try one of the tips we brought up earlier. Practice saying no without an apology. Check in with yourself before checking in with others. Own your calm. Instead of shrinking back, lean in and use your tone.
And notice what happens to your body, to your breath, to the way the other person looks at you. Do you see relief, respect, curiosity? These small signals show you're owning your power.
Because quiet strength doesn't mean being invisible, it means being the anchor, steady, calm, powerful in your own way.
And when you own that, you stop being overlooked. You start being seen as the leader you already are.
Thanks for joining us for More Than a Type.
If today's episode resonated, please like, share, and leave us a review. It helps more women discover the show.
And don't forget, we'd love to hear your story. Reach out and share your experiences with us.
Next time, we're diving into episode 9, Boundaries Without the Breakdown. How to set limits without guilt or burnout. Until then, keep leading with clarity
And living with purpose.